Hello, friends. Welcome to Vibe Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you for stopping by. Today, we're going to be learning how to make this lovely asymmetric neckline gown with collar, and it also has a bishop sleeve. And you can see the wrist area, it has a rope that you can use to form a bow at the sleeve area. It's a very simple and lovely gown to make. I hope you're interested in learning this. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the tutorial. Thank you so much. Fabric I'll be using to achieve this gown. You can see it's an adire fabric and it has two patterns. I'll be using this side for the collar and the sleeve, and then I'll be using this side for the bodice, that's for the bustier, and the down part, which is the skirt part. So to get started, the measurements we need are we'll be drafting the upper part first, and I'm going to be doing an armhole princess bustier. So to determine the amount of fabric to use and to fold over, you're going to divide the biggest measurement of the part you're working with. Remember, I'm working with the half scale, that's from shoulder to half length. The biggest measurement I have there is the bust measurement, and that bust is 39 inches. 39 divided by 4, that will give me 9 and 3 quarters. So plus 3 inches, about to just plus 3 inches will be enough to take care of your dart intake and every other thing. So here you can see I have about 13 inches, so which is fine. I'll advise that you do that. Divide your bust by 4, add 3 inches or 4 inches depending on the size of the person's stomach. So it's just going to be enough for your dart intake. So first I've gone ahead to draw my starting line, which will be the shoulder line. Next I'll do is to mark the nipple point, the underbust, shoulder to nipple point, shoulder to underbust is 14, shoulder to nipple point is 11, half length is 17, then plus half inch for joining the down part. So having done that, next I'll come here and mark 3 inches, and then I'll mark half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch for joining. So here I have 8 inches. Half of our shoulder measurement plus half inch for joining the sleeve. So you can see I arrived at 8 inches, and then I'll come down by 1 inch and create my shoulder slant. We have achieved our shoulder slant. Next is to come down by the armhole measurement, which is also going to be the chest line. You divide the bust by 6 plus 1.5. So here, the bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 is 8 inches. The bust is 39 inches. So here is my 8 inches. You can see I came down from the shoulder slant. So now this is me reconfirming the 8 inches I have here, which is the shoulder, half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch. You see? So now we have our chest line. Take note that my fabric is on fold. So you can see this side is open. So next is to enter the nipple to nipple measurement. And the nipple to nipple is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2, that's 4. So 4 plus half inch that I'll be using to join. So that is 4.5. So here too I have my 4.5, and then 4.5 this way. So now we'll go ahead and connect it like this. Okay, so having done that, on this side I'll take half inch on this side and then half inch on this side. This is going to be, this is the center, this is the center front, that's the middle, this is center front and this is side. So half inch on this side. So I did half inch on the under bust and half inch on the waistline. So now on the bust line, I'm going to enter quarter of the bust measurement, and that is 9 and 3 quarter. So here I'm going to bring that same 9 and 3 quarter down here, because that will determine my dart intake. That's to determine how much I will tighten on the underbust and on the waist and the waistline here. So the underbust measurement is 33 inches. 33 divided by 4, that's 8 and quarter. So 8 and quarter. Now I'm going to subtract 8 and quarter from my 9 and 3 quarter. That will give me 1.5. So that difference of 1.5 is what I'll be using for my dart intake. So this is what I'm doing now. The bust divided by 4 is 8 and quarter. Here is my 8 and quarter. So from here, can you see what I have left here? I have 1.5 left here. So I'm just going to place that 1.5 on this side. Can you see that? And then her waist measurement is 34 inches. 34 divided by 4, that is 8.5. So here is my 8.5. Can you see that? So placing my tape from here, can you see what I have left here? I have 1.25 inch. So using your bust dart technique, it just has a way of giving you your dart intake and everything just comes out well. So you can see that here is 1.5 and here is 1.25 inch. So I'll go ahead and connect it this way. That is it. And then I'll bring in my curve and then connect it to the bust point. So at this bust point here, I'll come down by half of an inch. So coming down by half of an inch, once you place your curve correctly, it has a way of bringing down that half of an inch for you. So I'll curve it down like this. You see that? And then I'll come here to do the same thing on this side. So you can see that this side is not so curvy. This is the center front. So now we've done this. So remember, I'm making the princess armhole bustier. So here now, this is my armhole. I'll get the midpoint of the armhole here, which is 4 inches. So at this 4 inches mark, I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch. This is to eliminate bulge from the armhole side. Remember that this is a shoulder measurement. So at this middle point, the measurement we have here is less than what we have here on the shoulder. So you just have to eliminate that bulge. If not, to gather your top or your bustier will gather around here. So I'll connect it back like this, and then I'll curve my armhole to this point. So now we want to do our dart intake at the armhole. Remember that we're making a princess armhole dart bustier. So on this middle, on this center, that's the middle point of my armhole here, I will come down by half of an inch, which is here. Can you see from the middle I came down by half of an inch, and then you can see that already here I have half of an inch upwards already. So I'll just bring my curve ruler like this and then connect it. Can you see that? So I'm going to be doing a dart intake on the armhole too. This is to give it that nice fit around there. You see? So this is my dart, my armhole dart I'll be cutting out. And you see that? So it is that simple. So having done this, I'm going to extend this side piece now. I'm going to extend this because by the time we join them together, this has a tendency of becoming shorter. Do you see? It becomes shorter. So this becomes longer and this becomes shorter. So you will notice that if you don't extend it, it will not reach this end. So that is why you need to extend it so that you don't have issues. So most times what I do is this: I check what do I have as my dart intake here. Everything I have here is about 2.25. I'll just come here and increase this point by that 2.25 or maybe 2 inches. Can you see? So now I'm extending this. So I'm just going to create the new armhole. Can you see? So this is a temporal armhole so that by the time I join, I'll come here and retrim my excess because this is actually the armhole I'll be working with for this center front. Can you see? That's this side. So whatever it is, by the time I join my pieces together, with whatever excess that comes after this point, I will trim it out. I hope that makes sense. We'll understand when we are doing it. So now we'll go ahead and add our sewing allowances. I'll be adding sewing allowance of 2 inches and then half inch for turning my lining. I don't want to weave, so I'm adding 2.5. So if you don't want to weave, please add your 2.5. So you can see I've added my 2.5 here, and then I've added my 2.5 here. So basically, what have I done here? Remember that the underbust measurement is 8¼ inch. Can you see? 8¼ inch. And we did a dart intake of 2¼ here. So what this has done is that it will replace back your dart. That is why that bust measurement, the bust measurement we worked with was 9¾ So if this is my this is my 8¼ here. My dart intake, I have 2¼ inch. So I'll come here and replace my 2¼ inch, and then I'll go ahead and add my sewing allowance. Did you see that? So it has given me back my sewing, as it has replaced back the measurement I've lost, and then of course I still have my sewing allowance. So all I need to do now is to add that ½ inch I want to use to turn my lining. So it's that simple. So now at this point, since I'm drafting directly on my fabric, remember that we talked from the measurement I showed us, we have our front length and our back length. For this client, her front length is 17 inches, and I added ½ inch for Johnny, so that's 17.5. Her back length is 15.5 inches, so that's a difference of 1.5 inches. So on this side here, I'll be taking away 1.5 inches. So that is the side dart, which you can also refer to as the bust dart, because it's the difference between the front and back, which is as a result of the bust in front. I hope you understand. So I'm just going to mark it here like this. So can you see I zeroized at this point? That I finished up at this point here. So I'll be cutting out this dart. So these are my darts. I'll be cutting out this, and cutting out this. So for that neckline, because that's where our collar is going to be. So for the neckline now, I'm going to be working with the neck width of 4 inches. This is 4 inches, and then I'll be working with a neck depth of 5 inches. But this neckline, I'll have to open my fabric and cut it, because you notice that one side is straight and one side is curved, and to achieve this collar. So I'm just going to draw this neckline first, and then when we cut out our patterns, when we cut out our pieces, I will now show us how to cut the neckline, because both of them will not be the same thing. That's the two sides of the neckline will not be the same thing. So here now on the shoulder, I'll come back and add ½ inch. Remember, I did a dart intake of ½ inch here, so I'm going to add that ½ inch back here. If you don't do that, you're going to have shortage by the time you join them together. So you notice that the front will be so smaller than the back. So we'll go ahead and cut out our front pieces. So can you see what I'm doing? So I'm going to, this is my dart. You see, taking out my darts, and then here we'll come to the shoulder slant, and then take it out like this. So like I said, we'll open our neckline and redraw, so that we can get the shape we want to have. Our neckline, take note that here is my center front. Can you see? This point is my center front. So I have my 4 inches here. So I'll come to this side and mark the same 4 inches. Can you see? And then I'll come down here by, remember that I used a depth of 6 inches here. I'll come down by the same depth of 6 inches here. You see that? So now that I have my 6 inches, I'm going to make this a little slanted. I don't want to take it straight like this. So now let's do this. This is where this line is. Ordinarily, this is where it should be. So at this point, I will come in by ½ inch. I don't want it too close to the armhole there. So I'll come in by ½ inch like this, and then slant it back to this point. Can we see that? And then I'll go ahead and curve it all the way to this point like this. Can you see? So this is what my neckline looks like. Ordinarily, this is the line. This is where my 4 inches line goes straight. But like I said, I want this place a little more inward. You don't want it to be this way. Remember that I will still use 1/2 inch to sew. So I don't want to go too close to the armhole there. So here we are. Then I'll go ahead and cut. Can you see that this side is curved, giving us our round neckline around this side, and then from here it just goes straight, and then I'll come here and cut it this way. So this is what we have. This is what our neckline looks like. So I have my front piece, my front pieces. This is the center, and then these are the sides. Can you see what we have? So now the next we're going to do is to cut our back. Back is just basic back. So I'll cut it out and then show us how to cut our collar. So now we have our 2 back pieces. So I'll bring in my front. Can you see? So having removed the side dart, can you see that they are both matching up? So this is very important because what I used at the back here, I used a length of, remember that the front was 17 plus 1/2 inch, that's 17.5, and I took away 1.5 from the side. So 17.5 minus 1.5, that's 16 inches. So my back length is 16 inches. Can you see? That's what I have here. I have 16 inches as the back length. So by the time we use 1/2 inch to join, because what this means is that the actual back length is 15.5. That's a difference of 1.5 inches since the front is 17 inches. I've gone ahead to cut the main fabric for the upper bodice, and I did the same thing for my back pieces too. So now for the collar, I'll need my center front. Drafting this collar on my pattern paper. I have my pattern paper, and this is the neckline now. So all I need to do is to trace out this neckline like I have here. So, and then you can see the shoulder, and then also I'm going to draw the shoulder line like this. So now I've traced out my neckline. So take note of this point. I have 4 inches here. Remember that the shoulder measurement, what I have left here from the tip of the neckline to the shoulder here, I have 3 and 4 inches. So by the time I turn the lining, that's by the time we sew the shoulders together with the sleeve, we're going to be left with 3.5. So, and I don't want this collar to go into the sleeve. I don't want it to go into the armhole area. So that means the collar here at this point, I want to have 3.5, so that by the time I turn with my lining, I'll be left with 3 inches, while the main shoulder, I'll be left with 3.5 inches. I hope you get that. So here is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that 3.5 inches like this. 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches, and then 3.5 inches. So at this point, I want to have 5 inches. Can you say that? 5 inches at this point. So here. So now this is what I'll be doing. This line, I'm going to extend this line like this. So this is my 5 inches here. Can you see that? So this is where my 5 inches is. So I'll just use my marker to just curve it. So here we are. Okay, so here we are. So now at this point, I'm going to still mark the same 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and then at this point the same 3.5 inches. Can you see? So at this 3.5 inches mark, I want to create a curve like this. Can you see where I have my 3.5 here at this point? So I want to just create a curve to meet it, to join it here at this point. So I want to give it that nice curved shape. Can you see I'm using my curve, the curved side of my armhole, and then I'll connect it like this. So you notice that the collar, the both of them are meeting at this point. So this will be one side of the collar, and then this will be the second side of the collar. So at the end of the day, I'm going to cut them into two here. So I'll go ahead and cut it into two and show us the next thing to do. After cutting out my pattern, I went ahead to cut out the fabric, and see I have two pieces of this side of the fabric, and one will be for the main fabric and one will be for the lining. So can you see? So all I did was to add my sewing allowance to this point. Can you see what I have here? I added my sewing allowance. You can see this side I maintained my actual measurement, which is the shoulder. I want to have that 3.5 here because I don't want it to go into the armhole. So here you can see that I added half inch for turning the collar at this point, because you want to finish, you want them to meet at this point. So if you don't add that half inch, by the time you use half inch to sew this part of the collar, of course it will shift back, so it will not come and meet at this point. So for this side, as you can see, I also added my half inch. So all I need to do now is to fuse it with haystay, or you can use soft gum stay. You don't want this part of this collar to be very hard. Remember that it's on top of the front, that's the bodice. So this is it. So now for the sleeve, I'll still be cutting from this fabric. All I need to do is just to add to my actual measurement. It's just the basic sleeve, but it's bishop sleeve, so I'll be using more than my measurement so that we can gather it, and then I'll cut my band and show us. Cut out the down part, that's the skirt. It's just the basic skirt, and see here. So I'm gonna head to cut out my sleeve. It's just a basic sleeve. So you can see my fabric, the pattern, this pattern is at the both hems. So you can see that's why I cut my sleeve open. That I have two pieces, so I'll have to join them together to form the basic sleeve. So you can see that this is bigger than the normal measurement of my client. So I'll be gathering this point here to give me the bishop sleeve, and then I'll gather the excess I have here a little. So now I have four pieces of this, two for one side and two for the other side. So I also have my band. I use the other part of the fabric, that's the center part of the fabric. I'll be using this for my band. So I'll gather this sleeve and sew it to this band. And then I have these ropes. You notice that when I was showing us the style, there's this rope on the wrist area. So I have this rope. I have two pieces of each of them, and this is 18 inches each. So I'll be attaching it to the sleeve. So we are done with cutting out our patterns. The next we'll start sewing. So I've gone ahead to iron my stay on my lining and on the main fabric. So I have hay stay here, and then on the lining I have paper stay. So you'll notice that the front, okay, so now for the center front, can you see the way I pressed my paper stay on this side, and then the hay stay is on this side? This is it. Can you see what we have? So you don't want to make the mistake of placing the paper stay on this side. It will interchange the positions, because the neckline is not just the round neck. This side has its own style and the other side has its own style. That's what I'm trying to say, so that you don't have, so that you don't put your hair stay like this. You can see that the shape will not fit in. That's just what I'm trying to explain. So now it's time for us to cut our pad because we'll be padding this. So we'll be learning how to perfectly pad our Princess Armhole bustier. Bustier, I have my three pieces. This is the center piece and these are the two side pieces. And then I have my breast pad. I'm going to, it's also known as warding. On your place, you can also, another name for it is breast pad. So I'll place it this way on top of my pad. Now first I'm going to do is to fold my fabric this way and then notch the under bust. So here I remember I drafted on my lining and the under bust is at 14 inches. Remember that the half length I used here is 17.5. So I'm just going to place my tape on this 17.5 here. So here is the under bust. So notch the under bust point here. So here is my under bust. And then of course at the side here, the under bust is already very obvious because that's where the curve, that's where it curves in. Okay, can you see? So I'll place it over like this. So from this side here, I'll come in by 2.5 inches from the side here. So you want to also notch that part. I'll fold over like this, mark where my 2.5 inches is. So this is where my 2.5 inches is. And then I'll notch this point. You see? So then I'll go ahead and place my pad like this. So you want to make sure that you're not wasting your pad. So I want to see if what I have here on this side will be enough to give me this side. The nipple to nipple I'm working with is 4 inches. 4 plus 1 inch, that's 5 inches. So can you see? I have about 5 inches here. So this is fine. So now I'll also bring this one. So the same way I came in by 2.5 inches from here, from this point, is the same thing I'll be doing at this part. So I'll come in by the same 2.5 inches. So you see, I'll place my pad over like this. So you can see everything is starting from this point. Can you see what I have here? So of course you can see that that's the dart, the armhole dart that we cut out. So that is what is showing up here. So now I'll go ahead and cut out like this for the side. So can you see? And I stopped exactly at the under bust point there. Okay, so you see the curve I have here. So this part that is coming out the most, this is where the bust point is. Okay, you see? So this is the shape I have here now. I'll go ahead and mark my 5 inches from there. See where my 5 inches ends. So all I need to do now is to curve my pad this way and then bring it back this way. And you see, it's that simple. So I'll cut it out like this. So now I have my side piece. I'll need 2 of this because we have 2 sides. So now for the center, you make sure that your pad is starting from this, your 2.5 that you cut out there. So I'm going to take it this way too. You see, I'll stop exactly at the under bust point. So here you can see that I have this part of my pad is bigger. So all I need to do now is to come in like this. So you see this part where I have my 2.5 here. So I'll begin to trace out from this part. You see? And I'm stopping exactly at this point. So now I'll fold over this part that I have my 2.5, can you see? So that I can cut straight. So I haven't cut out straight. I can as well fold like this so that I can trim out my excess. Remember that my pad I've cut from it, so that's why I have that excess. So I'll trim out this. So here we are. So here is the underbust line where the pad is starting from. So can you see? I came in by my 2.5 inches. You see? It's stopping at this point. So this is what the center piece of my pad will look like. So there's this shape I need to create here at the center here. Remember that a woman's breast is not just straight there. There's this curved shape that is under the bust of the woman. So here at this point, I'll fold my pad into two like this. Then I'll go up by 1.5 inches. So I'll just curve it back like this. You see? So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So can you see? So this is what we have now at the under bust. So you see the shape of the woman's bust here. Okay? So that's it. So I'll cut two pieces of this and then I'll place this like this. This pad is fusible, it has gum. So this part that is shiny is the part with the gum. I'll place it directly on the fabric like this, turn it over, and then use my steam iron to press my pad to the bustier. You see? So now the next to do is to sew it. I'm going to place this side over like this. I'll join it on half inch, sew it all the way to this point like this. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for this side. Place it over like this and sew it all the way to this side. I'll repeat the same thing for the lining, then I'll show us how to fix our collar. I'm done ironing my bustier. Can you see? I pressed it open. After stitching, I pressed it open. And see? And then I use my paper stitch to keep it open permanently. This is what it looks like on the right side. Can you see that? So, and I also repeated the same thing for my lining, but I didn't keep this open, so this is just fine. So now for the armhole, and you see that my armhole, after sewing, you can see how the armhole is properly trimmed. So I went ahead to trim my armhole to have the same thing like I have for the front. All I did was to just trim out the excess that came out from this side piece. So you can see how it blends up, and you can see what we have here too. So next we'll be doing now is to fix our collar. So remember that this collar is going to be on this side. See this side? This one is on this side, and then this is on this side. Can you see that? So already I have applied gum stay to the lining. One will serve as the lining, one will serve as the fabric. So I've applied gum stay to the lining. I've also done the same thing to this one. So now what I'll need to do is this. This is the down part. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. I'll sew on half inch this way. This place is the part that will join to this side. So I'll sew on half inch this way, and then all the way to this part. So I won't be sewing the shoulder, neither will I be sewing the neckline. So for this side too, I'm going to sew on half inch this way like this, and then take it curved this way. I'll bring it out. I won't be sewing the shoulder. I'll do that and come back and show us. I'm done sewing my collar. As you can see, I've notched the sides, the curve, get, and then I also did the same thing for this side. I notched the curve. Can you see how I sewed? I sewed on this part, this my extended half inch, and then this curve this way. I'm going to turn it out. So I want to use your scissors so that after pressing my collar, can you see what I have? So can you see? I'm making sure that these parts, they are equal. Can you see? They are really equal. So I'll place this over like this. And see? So now I'll go ahead and place my collar like this. So this is coming from this side, so I'm just going to pin it this way. And you see that I have that space that I'll be using to join my sleeve here. Remember I said I don't want the collar to go into the armhole. So you see, it will end here. So here we are. Then we'll bring this now and place it. Want to make sure that they are equal at this point. You don't want one to be longer than the other. Okay, see? I'm placing it this way, making sure that they align here, like this. Then pin this way. Okay, see? That they are both aligned here. You see that? So now I'll take to my sewing machine and I'll sew on 1/2 inch round. Is to sew my lining. So I'll place my lining right side of the lining. Of course, now the lining has the right side because I've put hasty and then this particular shape. So I'm going to sew now on 1/2 inch. Okay, so I've joined all my pieces together and this is the beautiful outcome of our gown. And you see how our collar is sitting really nicely, the sleeves, and see how I gathered the down part and I went ahead to fix the rope at the band at the wrist area. This is what we have. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a comment, a like, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.